Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 31 of ShrigleytubeTV. Just want to say a massive thanks. Last week we got 5,000 hits in 3 days. Brilliant on the new video with Ed, who I interviewed regarding the rally car and his story, etc. I think people enjoyed that, so that's great. I hope you enjoyed this week's video just as much. Got all sorts to get through. It'll be listed in the title. I won't go on about it now and take your time up. I was going to say race retro 23rd, 4th, whatever of February. Hopefully I'll see you there for a t-shirt and a chat. And I was thinking of also saying, if you want to be on ShrigleyTube, come over to the stand, tell us your favourite car, your favourite engine, whatever you want to tell us, and if you want, we'll put you on ShrigleyTube on the Sunday. Right, I'm going to go now because we've run out of time already. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoy what you see. I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday at 7. Okay, YouTubers, I'm just putting Mr. Benoy's engine back together, and I thought we could have a little chat, just where we're up to, keep you up to speed of it before we run it on the dyno later this week. Now, the head, I've been right through it. We've got new valves, etc., springs, all the bits and pieces. The follows were good, the cam's good, so I've not disturbed any of that because it's all bedded in nicely. The bottom end, obviously, I have took the risk of aqua blasting it all because it was just getting really scruffy, the engine. It's been in existence a long time, and when it was initially built, it was built from a new sunbeam block, but I didn't have the blaster, so I blasted it all. But I mean, see all these oil drillings, every oil drilling has been out, it's been pipe cleaned. If we look down there, we can see that's the main oil gallery that runs through the block, so pipe cleaned all that. It's had several baths and a brake cleaner bath as well to make sure there's absolutely no chance of any of the media causing us issues when we come to run the engine. So that's the head, that's all done. I've done a bit of chamber work, and I've also, obviously I've machined the pistons to make them fit, because these pistons came 2mm taller, so I had the option to make a little intruder piston and up the compression ratio to sort of like 13:1, which is where you probably watched some of my previous videos. I've run, you know, even higher than that compression. Now I do like compression, and don't get me wrong, it does give you torque, but it's not the be all and end all. You know, getting the air in the engine is probably the most important part. Obviously, depending on what the application of the engine is, like if it was one for me and James and it was a bit of a sponsorship job, I didn't mind pushing the boundaries. But this is, Simon pays a lot of money to go on races in, and you know, they're like hour-long races and stuff, so I don't really want to take the risk with pushing his engine too close to the limit. Basically what happens is, cut a long story short, the higher the compression ratio, the more chance there is of us running into a detonation situation. So it's great on the dyno here when we're running like 65 degrees water and everything's under control, but when they're on the track, what sometimes happens is they get a red flag situation halfway through the race. They end up back on the grid for 5 minutes while they sweep up the mess, and then they get going again, and in that time the temperature's creeped up to 90, and then they go and race them, and if they're right on the edge, right, we'll have to start again here, won't we? The compression ratio determines the burn speed. That is, well, there's a few things that determine the burn speed, you know, lean mixture, ignition advance, and also the compression pressure, the cylinder pressure, you know, how many times you're squashing it. That calculation we do with the sweat volume into the space at the top, like your compression ratio. So we are always looking for a burn rather than a detonation. A detonation, I know I've talked about in the past, is basically where the flame front goes supersonic. So we want the flame front to be just slower than the speed of sound, so that it expands and pushes the piston down the bore nicely. Now if it gets too fast to burn because the compression ratio is too high, or heat has come into the situation, so you know, at 65 degrees it might be absolutely perfectly happy with 13:1, but if you put it at 90 degrees water temp, you know, you're running that risk of it's turning from a deflagration to a detonation, and that's where the problems start. And once they start, there's no turning back, because the detonation increases the heat, which increases more detonation, and we end up in a vicious circle, and we end up with big holes in pistons, things like that. So we try and steer clear of that. Now obviously the different types of engine depend on what compression ratio we can run. So if this was a 998 short stroke, so this is a 70mm stroke, if it was on a 60mm stroke, which is standard, a 998, and it had an old school cam in it, you know, like a big old R23 with loads of duration on top, and big degrees, you know, we'd be able to run 13:1, you know, with loads of advance as well, because of the wild cam and the short stroke. The dynamic compression ratio, which is the compression ratio the engine actually sees when the valves are shut, the swept volume when the valves are closed, that will be a lot lower. But with this engine, it's got quite a snappy cam, so, and it's not as wild as it looks, and also it's got 70mm stroke, so it's sweeping for a lot longer. So if I've got my calculations correct, which is what I was trying to get to 10 minutes ago, we should be looking at about 11.8 to 12:1. I'll say in that little bracket there, we'll CC it together shortly when the head's on. Just do a final CC, and sorry, you know, where we do it with the actual head on through the plug hole, and that gives us the best indication of where we're at with it all. Right, I'll stop waffling and tie myself in knots, and we'll get the head on, and then hopefully we get a tune out of this tomorrow or Thursday. Okay, YouTubers, good morning. Now, a couple of weeks ago we did a video, an AMSR video of an engine build, and I breezed over putting the cylinder head on, as in I just literally did a video of the wheel strings and the paper gasket, and next thing it was all together. So I thought, I had a few questions from people in the comments section saying, how did you do what you did, blah blah blah. So was it all dry? And of course the answer is no, it wasn't dry, it was plastered in this stuff. Now I thought what we'll do is we'll do a ×2 speeded up video of me putting the cylinder head on with the glue, etc. Before I do that, I'll give you a bit of an explanation as to how it all works in case it's new to you. So the way it works is with an iron liner imp engine like this, where we've got an iron liner for the wheel string to seal on, the way it works, it has a pinch. So if we look at the wheel string, you'll see we have a groove in the head. I'll just not prep this over because I can't get the ring out. There you go, there's one out. So if you look, can you see the groove there? That groove is 60 thou deep, yeah? This wheel string is 95 thou thick. So the groove is 60, the paper gasket is 20, that takes us to 80, leaving 15 thou of pinch. So when we clamp the head down and we pull it down on the block, the wheel string will deform to the tune of 15 thou, which will give us a little flat area. And it's that pressure over area equation where you basically get a lot of pressure on that one area, which helps the chamber to seal. And these do seal absolutely superbly. I mean, there's just never an issue no matter what compression ratio. In fact, when Benoy melted this engine many years ago, the wheel string was the last thing to fail. I mean, it melted out the combustion chamber before the actual wheel string failed. Anyway, what happens next is I coat the wheel string in grey glue just before we put the head on. And the reason I do that is to protect it from the coolant, because I've just got a wheel string here to show you. I can just zoom in. I'm not sure whether it will or not. Where's the damaged bit? There you go. So come on, zoom. Can you see how that wheel string has been nibbled? Stupid thing. You can just about make out there. There you go. You can see that's not an old wheel string, that's just a wheel string that's been in a head that's had a lack of antifreeze. And what happens is it nibbles the wheel string, the gases escape out the middle of it, and then the whole lot collapses, and we end up with water in the sump and all the rest of it, and all sorts of problems, stained bores and whatnot. So yeah, we coat it all. You'll see it all in the video next. It all gets coated in the grey glue. So I'm all prepped up, ready to go. I've got my row coll on the which is my molly slip like type goo that I put on the threads and under the shoulder of the bolt, so we get an accurate torque reading. And then the only other bit that's pretty critical on these is we have a high pressure oilway that feeds the cylinder head with oil, and it runs up this O-ring here at the front of the head block. Now that O-ring is 60 thou thick, so I make the groove 30 thou deep, so it's 30 plus 20 with the paper gasket gives us 50, which gives us 10 thou pinch, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but that's adequate to seal the oil pressure going up to the head. And it's pretty critical, because if it's not right, we get a situation where the oil leaks in here or leaks out there or up the head bolt hole and all the rest of it. and yeah, just problems. So what I'm going to do now is put the camera on the stand, and we'll go through the sequence, and then when I'm tightening it down, what I do is obviously I do a spiral from the middle out, and I just do it in 5 foot-pound increments, so we're clamping the wheel strings down dead nice and gently, because we want them to have the best chance of sealing properly once and for all. Right, I will get on with putting this on the camera stand now, and we'll build this up. Right chaps, I just forward winded the last part of that video because there was no point videoing me pulling the head down in 5 foot-pound increments because it just took forever, and I thought I don't want you nodding off this early in the video. So I just wanted to say, obviously what I didn't explain beforehand was, after I've put the head on and I've just loosely put the bolts in position, I then put the location dials in, which makes sure the head is all the wheel strings are concentric to the top of the liner, and then we torque it down. And because this has now got the wheel strings, if you can imagine, they've now deformed to the tune of 15th thou, so they've got the correct pinch on them. So what we do now is we don't ever retorque that head. That head has been torqued. It will now last the duration of its lifetime. It won't need to be messed with at all. Now, I made a bit of a brave comment saying that my calculation for the compression ratio roughly about 11.5 to 1, and it was going to have 28 to 28.5 cc's or something in it. Now we're going to do this live on camera, so it could all go horribly wrong. It's at TDC. Let's see how many cc's we can get in this chamber. Oop. Oh, It's going to be a bit higher than I thought. It was a CC out. About 26.6 cc's there. Right, let's I'll just give it the wobble so we can make sure no air bubbles in there. So we give them a little bit of a wobble one way, a bit of a wobble that way, and then we just check CDC is correct. We can just watch that by watching the fluid go up and down. So that's bob on. Yep, my mark's bob on. Right, great. So we've got we'll call that 26.8 cc's. Oh, it could be in the 12. It could be a flyer, this, Benoy. You have to make sure you keep it cool. What did I just say? Did I say a 26.8? So we know it's 300 cc. Can you see that? It's 300 cc per pop because it's 1200 cc engine. So it's 300 plus 26.9 equals that, divided by 26.9 equals 12.15. Oh, so it's not overly high. That's just about perfect. That'll be good. That it'll have good burn speed, so we won't need loads of advance, and it should have superb torque. Brilliant. Can't wait to get it running. I better get cracking, get the cam in and the bottom end finished. Right, okay chaps, it's treat time for Andy. I've just been running in Simon Benoy's 1150. This is the one that we interviewed him the other day. I've given it a bit of a spruce up. It's had the carbs cleaned, the manifold painted, etc. I've blasted the block and the timing cover. Obviously, you've probably just watched the cylinder head being put on with the grey glue, etc. So that's all on now, and I've been running it in on the dyno, and it runs an absolute treat. It's lovely. Now I have unplugged the microphone for this part of the video because if I try and rev an engine in the microphone, I think it fuzzes out, it overloads it, so you don't get the proper noise. So hopefully you'll get to appreciate the noise of this thing. It's 1200 cc now. This is like the best engine I offer. It's, you know, it's got the longer rod with the spacer for the long stroke crank, and it's also got the posh cam with the longer valve, etc. that we've just been through with the other build. Anyway, I'll fire it up and tell me what you think. Okay YouTubers, it's that time of the week, my favourite time of the week, where we get to run what we've been building. So this is Simon Benoy's engine, and it's had a bit of a modification. We've gone from 1150 to 1200 cc, we've rebored it and put some new pistons in that you will have seen earlier in the video. So I've been running it in, and I've not got the airbox on, so we're not doing the final run. I just thought it's probably done enough now, we'll give it a little squeeze. I've set it with a moderate amount of advance. It'll certainly cope with it with the compression ratio it's running. So we'll see how it gets on. It's been a lovely behaved engine so far. It sounds really sweet. You know, it's so friendly. It's got loads of torque. That's the 1200 cc capacity. That really helping it. You know, picks up like a standard engine. But yeah, but this will hang on. Having the longer rod and the wilder cam, it will hang on. I'll just try and get a 5 or 5,500 figure. So 5,000 there. Oh, it's like 90 foot-pound. It's going to be really good, this, if it hangs on, which it will do. Bit of oily fingerprints there coming off my exhaust system. Not stressed about that. 6 now, we should see a good figure. That's 7. Wide open 7. Oh, straight to 99. Wow. Oh, it's going to be good, this. Really good. He's going to love this. Maybe he'll be able to keep up with them nasty little midgets now. I doubt it, because it's still shaped like a brick, but anyway. Right, well that was a nice figure to see. What we'll have to do now is we'll just check the fuel in and etc, and then we'll get the airbox on. We'll just give it a bit of a sweep. So I'm starting at 5.5 there. It's got 90 foot-pound. Back it off, it should go again now this. Still holding it. Oh my goodness, 7.5, 8,000, still 85. Bloody hell. Oh, it'd be good this, really good. Right, let's go and do some checks and then I'll report back. Okay, back on with Mr. Benoy. It's just thought we'd put some more fuel in, see how it affected it. If it liked it or not, that'll make a decision then on whether it was okay before we start changing too many things at once. Like, we have got to put the airbox on before it goes out. I like to see how everything affects the performance individually. I think you get a better learn that way. Right, let's just zoom in on that little torque meter. Can you see that? Loud and clear. Right, brilliant. Let's see what we're doing. Steady 100 foot-pound. Right, it liked the fuel. Oh, that's good. Thought it might take fuel up. Right, let's go a bit lower down. Let's see if we can get 5,089. Yeah. Right, cool. Interesting, because this 4-into-1 exhaust, when we first fitted it on the 1150 engine a couple of years ago, we got a hole in the torque at 4.5 to 5. We actually lost torque and then came back again. But because we've gone up on capacity, either that or something else is working better. It just seems to have lost that hole completely. Right, let's see what it's like hanging on. Let's start at 7. Let it come to 8. Wow, yeah. Right. Let's get the airbox on, see how that affects it. Okay, YouTubers, if you look in the lower corner there, you'll see the air filter arrangement now. That's the actual air filter that Simon runs on the car, and the idea is to just try and drag some cold air in. Personally, I like them open trumpet, but it does, for some reason, well, it's pretty obvious why. It's getting cold air, and if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see over there, that's the cold air that blows air in, and then the exhaust air is hoovered out up here. So it has actually got a nice cold air, so it will give it some false power, this. But I mean, it's all a representation of ideally what we think we're going to see in the car. So I'm hoping this will just put, you never know, it might just see like 105 foot-pound torque on the meter, which is probably a good, a good 97, 98. Not even looked at what air day it is yet. Anyway, let's see how it goes. So at 5,000 there, it's holding 94 on there. We'll call that 90. Bit rich there as it came off, but that's to be expected because it is off cam. Let's see how it hangs on. Worse. Interesting. Right, has it gone rich? Yeah, it's got a bit of a rich bit there, hasn't it? The air filter will affect the fueling. Oh yeah, at 600 again. Right. We'll pull some fuel out and see if it prefers it without, and then we have to do a test with the sounds disconnected so that we can see exactly how it'll perform. It'd be good this, because if you look at the exhaust pipe, it's pointing out of the workshop, so it won't interfere with the intake side. Right, we've just pulled some fuel back out of the jet size with the air filter being on now. I think that was causing a restriction. We had a bit of a rich bit. Still a little bit groggy down at 3, but it's never ever going to be down there. We'll just load it up at sort of 5 and see what it's saying. 5.5 there, nice, stronger than ours. Right, let's wind it right off. It's holding 94 well, not falls off, it's still doing good power, but the we will have a bit of heat soak. And we've got a part throttle misser. What is that? Right, I'll have to investigate. Right, okay YouTubers, we're on the final run now. I've just disconnected the exhaust system, so it's absolutely as it will be in the car. I like to do this as a final test. So we've got the airbox as it's going to be. We've even put the little dust caps on top of the carburetor, so you know, the little vents for the top of the jets, and disconnected the exhaust, so it's just breathing to atmosphere, no silencer to the roof like normal. So the engine will hopefully think it's in the imp. So we'll just see where it's at. We'll put a bit of a load on him at 5 or 4.5 there, see what it's saying. It's not actually a very good air day today. It's 975 millibar. Look at that torque. Steady 95 at 5. That's mega. And we've changed the pump jets now, so we've got less fuel, so it accelerates nicely. So at 5.5, holding 99. Is it going to carry on going? Oh my word, 100, easy 100 there, 7, 7.5, 8, holding it, oh my lord, 8.5, still holding 86 foot-pound. That is going to be awesome. I am so excited for you, Simon. I hope you can catch those little midgets now, and of course my next concern is, how is that poor crown wheel and pinion going to cope inside your gearbox? Anyway, we'll just have to fix the next bit that breaks. That's life. Right chaps, well, what can I say? I'm absolutely over the moon with the performance of this engine. It's absolutely flying, that. It'll be awesome. I can't wait to see how it gets on. And the best bit is, I've just come in here now and look at the air pressure, 975. So it's not even a good air day. In fact, it's a pretty pants air day. So this is potentially quite powerful. This could be in the genuine region of 125 horsepower, and it works from 5,000 RPM or 4.5. So yeah, we'll call it a day at that now. I'll get it all dressed up, ready. And if you are coming to Race Retro on the weekend of the 22nd, 3rd and 4th, oh no, sorry, 23rd, 4th and 5th of February, this engine will be on a stand on our little stand in Hall 3, because Simon's going to come and help with the stand, and he's going to take it away from it at the end of the weekend. So come along and have a chat, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Right, okay YouTubers, that's the end of this week's show. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed watching the engine. I certainly enjoyed building that's 1200. It's been stunning. It's put me on a good high for Sunday, so yeah, brilliant that. Now I just thought I'd share this with you quickly before you went. This is something that I've invested in for myself. I'll just zoom in with the camera. It's a steel imp cam, but it's been DLC diamond light coated. It's all about friction, and it's just, apparently it gives you just the edge, that little bit less friction, opening all those valve springs. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more horsepower out of the engine, and then we can go racing. Obviously when I get time to build the engine, which I don't know when that's going to be. But thanks for watching and tuning in. I'll see you all next Sunday at 7.